Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're addressing a critical and often debated topic, the moral status of animals. Animal rights and ethics have become central issues in contemporary philosophy, sparking questions about how we should treat non-human animals. Are animals deserving of rights? What ethical responsibilities do we have towards them? Let's dive into these complex questions and explore the various perspectives on animal ethics. Section 1. Historical perspectives on animal ethics. Ancient views. Historically, the moral status of animals has been a topic of philosophical inquiry. In ancient Greece, philosophers such as Pythagoras and Plutarch advocated for the moral consideration of animals, arguing that they are sentient beings capable of experiencing pain and pleasure. Pythagoras, for instance, believed in the transmigration of souls, which extended moral consideration to all living beings. However, not all ancient philosophers shared this view. Aristotle, in his work Politics, categorized animals as inferior to humans, suggesting that they exist for human use. This perspective significantly influenced subsequent Western thought, establishing a hierarchy between humans and animals. Religious influences. Religious traditions have also played a significant role in shaping attitudes towards animals. In Judeo-Christian thought, the concept of human dominion over animals, derived from the Book of Genesis, has often been interpreted as granting humans the right to use animals for their purposes. However, there are also religious teachings that emphasize kindness and stewardship towards animals, highlighting the complexity of ethical considerations. Section 2. Modern philosophical arguments. Utilitarianism. One of the most influential modern arguments for animal rights comes from the utilitarian perspective, particularly the work of philosopher Peter Singer. In his seminal book Animal Liberation, Singer argues that the capacity to suffer is the vital characteristic that gives a being the right to equal consideration. According to utilitarianism, actions should be judged based on their consequences, aiming to minimize suffering and maximize well-being. Since animals are capable of suffering, their interests should be considered equally with those of humans. Deontology. From a deontological perspective, philosopher Tom Regan presents a compelling case for animal rights in his book, The Case for Animal Rights. Regan argues that animals are subjects of a life, possessing inherent value and rights. According to deontological ethics, certain actions are morally wrong regardless of their consequences. Therefore, it is morally wrong to exploit or harm animals, as they have intrinsic value and deserve to be treated with respect. Virtue ethics. Virtue ethics, rooted in the philosophy of Aristotle, focuses on the development of moral character and virtues. Modern virtue ethicists, such as Rosalind Hursthouse, argue that compassion and respect for animals are essential virtues. Treating animals ethically is part of cultivating a virtuous character. By showing kindness and empathy towards animals, individuals demonstrate moral integrity and a commitment to ethical living. Section 3. Ethical theories and their applications. Animal rights versus animal welfare. The debate between animal rights and animal welfare is central to the discourse on animal ethics. Animal rights advocates like Regan argue for the recognition of animals as bearers of rights, deserving of moral and legal protection. This perspective calls for the abolition of practices that exploit animals, such as factory farming, animal testing, and entertainment industries. In contrast, animal welfare proponents focus on improving the conditions in which animals are kept, aiming to reduce suffering without necessarily granting animals rights. This approach supports reforms in animal husbandry, laboratory conditions, and the treatment of animals in captivity, advocating for humane practices while allowing for the continued use of animals by humans. Case study: factory farming. Factory farming is one of the most contentious issues in animal ethics. The industrial-scale production of meat, dairy, and eggs often involves practices that cause significant suffering to animals, including overcrowding, confinement, and inhumane slaughter methods. From a utilitarian perspective, the immense suffering inflicted on animals in factory farms outweighs the benefits derived from these practices, making them morally indefensible. Deontologists would argue that the inherent rights of animals are violated in factory farming, as they are treated as mere commodities rather than beings with intrinsic value. Virtue ethicists would criticize the lack of compassion and respect demonstrated in such practices, viewing them as contrary to the cultivation of a virtuous character. Section 4. Legal and social implications. Animal rights legislation. The legal status of animals varies across different jurisdictions, reflecting diverse cultural and ethical attitudes. Some countries have enacted comprehensive animal welfare laws, recognizing the sentience of animals and establishing standards for their treatment. For example, the European Union has implemented regulations to improve the welfare of farm animals, banning certain inhumane practices and promoting more humane methods of husbandry. In contrast, other regions have less stringent protections for animals, allowing practices that cause significant suffering. The legal recognition of animal rights remains a contentious issue, with ongoing debates about the extent to which animals should be granted legal personhood and rights. Social movements. The animal rights movement has gained significant momentum in recent decades, driven by growing awareness of animal suffering and ethical concerns. Activist organizations such as PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, and the Humane Society advocate for the rights and welfare of animals, campaigning against practices like factory farming, animal testing, and the fur trade. Public attitudes towards animals are also shifting, with increasing numbers of people adopting vegetarian or vegan diets, reducing their consumption of animal products, and supporting cruelty-free products. These changes reflect a growing recognition of the moral status of animals and a commitment to more ethical living. Section 5. Ethical considerations in everyday life. Diet and consumption. One of the most direct ways individuals can align their actions with ethical considerations is through their dietary choices. Adopting a vegetarian or vegan diet is a significant step towards reducing animal suffering and promoting animal rights. By choosing plant-based alternatives and supporting ethical food production, individuals can make a meaningful impact on the lives of animals. Clothing and fashion. The fashion industry also raises ethical concerns regarding the treatment of animals. The use of fur, leather, and other animal-derived materials often involves significant suffering. Opting for cruelty-free and sustainable fashion choices, such as synthetic alternatives and ethically sourced materials, is a way to promote animal welfare and reduce harm. Entertainment and leisure. Many forms of entertainment, such as circuses, zoos, and marine parks, involve the exploitation and confinement of animals. Supporting ethical alternatives, such as wildlife sanctuaries and responsible ecotourism, can help promote the well-being of animals and raise awareness about their rights. Conclusion. In this video, we've explored the complex and multifaceted topic of animal rights and ethics. From ancient philosophical perspectives to modern ethical theories, the moral status of animals has been a subject of ongoing debate and reflection. Understanding the arguments for animal rights, the ethical theories that support them, and the real-world implications of these ideas is crucial for making informed and compassionate choices in our daily lives. By considering the moral status of animals and our ethical responsibilities towards them, we can contribute to a more just and humane world. Whether through dietary choices, fashion, entertainment, or advocacy, each of us has the power to make a difference in the lives of animals. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the philosophy of animal ethics. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more enlightening content on philosophy and ethics. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep striving for a more ethical world.